Nope. Has anyone, by round of applause, has anyone here ever had two guys named Lance watch them poop? Really? No, here's my tale. One night, I decided my roommate and I were going to drive. My roommate Lance and I were going to drive to New Orleans from Austin, Texas. But we made it as far as Brenham, Texas, and then I got arrested for obstruction of railroad property. If you don't know what that is, that's when your car gets stuck on the railroad tracks and cops have to drive down and cut off a train. That's what that is. And I spent the night in the drunk tank. And I'm with my roommate Lance, and then there's another guy there named Lance that looks like my roommate, but just like the middle-aged version of him. It's just like fatter, older, balder Lance. And at one point, we had been day drinking all day. I'd had no water, and I had to shit at one point. But you're just in your room with these two gentlemen, like two guys named Lance. And I sit down on the toilet. I'm trying not to do this because I don't want to shit in front of my roommate Lance. I really don't want to do this because I know I'll never live it down. But I do. I sit down on the toilet, I take a shit, and Lance is just pointing at me and laughing. And then the other future Lance, he's pretending like it's not happening at all. He's just looking around, and that made me more uncomfortable for some reason. I just wanted to like yell at him, Lance, future Lance, this is happening. Look me in the eyes. This is real life right now. And I just hope that like 2 decades from now, I'm walking down a street and then some old guy stops me. He's like, I should have looked you in the eyes when you shit that day. And I'm like, future Lance? He's like, yeah. And that's the story of how I can't shit unless somebody named Lance watches me. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I've tried. Here's how I've been doing it. For a while, I would keep a fake mustache in the bathroom, and I would, for whenever I had crap, my wife would come and she'd put on the fake mustache and just tell me her name was Lance. But you see through that fantasy real quickly. And so then now what I do, I've hired 2 gentlemen named Lance. They have to show me their IDs with their name tags at all times. Okay, I took it too far. I like to test the boundaries. Okay, you should stop talking. What are we doing here? Okay, nope, there we go. I went to the University of Texas in Austin. All right, few people, not everybody. This was in 2001, and at that time, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise got a divorce. I swear this has to do with me going to UT. At the time, they got a divorce, and I worked at this place where like there were tabloids up front, and people would argue all the time between Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, like whose side they were on. And I always thought that was so stupid, because who gives a shit? You don't know what's going on in their relationship, just shut up. I thought it was so dumb that I needed to do something about it. So, through the University of Texas, I started the Nicole Kidman Foundation for $10. It was an official organization. We were hoping to have like 50 people sign up in a semester. But in 2 weeks, we had over 3,000 people sign up. We unofficially became the biggest organization ever at the University of Texas. We got so big so fast that we didn't know what to do with ourselves. So we threw a rally for Nicole Kidman, a woman I will never meet. I don't care about her. It was all a big dumb joke. We throw this rally, hundreds of people show up. It was insane. I gave a heartfelt speech. I started crying on behalf of Nicole. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done aside from that. And as soon as the rally was done, we started getting these threatening emails that said, if you don't shut down the Nicole Kidman Foundation, bad things are going to happen to you guys. And I was like, what? Come on. And I was like, fuck that, let's have a second rally. Because if there's one thing you need to know about the Nicole Kidman Foundation, it's that we don't cave to terrorist demands. So we announced the second rally. As soon as we did, I got another threatening email that said, if you go through with the second rally, we will assassinate the leader of the Nicole Kidman Foundation, me. And that was the end of the Nicole Kidman Foundation. Not because of me. I wanted to do it. I wanted to go through with it. But all my friends quit. They were like, we can't do this. We're all going to die. And I was like, no, no, no. They didn't threaten you. They threatened me. And they're like, you're crazy, man. I was like, maybe. Or maybe you don't love Nicole enough. And I was like, guys, it's just a joke. There's no way they're going to go through with it. And if they do, it's going to be the funniest assassination ever. Way funnier than John Lennon's, you know? Because he died. It's not funny. So naturally, it would be funny. All right. I'm going to give you guys a gift before I leave. I just hand out lettuce. This is a prank. This is a wonderful prank. But before I pass on this prank, I want you guys to promise me that you'll be responsible with it. Because it can cause some psychological damage like it did to my friend Jimmy. Here's what happened. A while back, my friend Jimmy texted me about a dream he had, and he gave me every detail, and it got me thinking. He would do this every once in a while. And so then at one point, he gave me some details of a dream. I texted his wife. I was like, hey, the next time Jimmy tells you about a dream, can you text me every detail about that dream first? And then I'm going to call him and tell him I had that dream before he calls me. And she was like, oh, that's going to screw him up real good. Let's do it. So she texts me one time, and she's like, hey, here's all the details of the dream. I'm like, great. The next day, I call him later that day, and I was like, hey, man, I didn't start with it. You know, I didn't want to open with it. That's too obvious. They're just like, hey, we had a conversation before I got off the call. I was like, hey, man, I got to tell you about this dream I had. It's crazy. Last night I had this dream where I was in outer space, and I was a part of this group of space pirates. And our sole job was to defend this ice planet from a bunch of space beetles. Jimmy is silent. This is his fucking dream. And even in the silence, I can feel how tense he is. And then I keep going, and I'm like, yeah, and then after a while, I accidentally killed this rival space pirate captain, and then by drowning him in pickle juice, and then it incidentally started this nuclear space war, and he just was like, oh my God, are you serious right now? And I was like, that's rude. Can I continue? And I keep going, and then I was like, yeah, and then eventually I bail. We started this nuclear space war, but I bail on that to go to the Oscars because my wife's never been, and we get down to the Oscars, and we're down there, and we're so excited, but then my wife interrupts the Oscars, the middle of the ceremony. She starts dancing on stage, and I'm so embarrassed because we're sitting next to Meryl Streep, and I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna hate this so much. But she doesn't. She just points at my wife and she says, you go, girl. And that's when Jimmy was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? He's like, you're never gonna believe me. I had that same dream last night. And I was like, I'm sure it's a pretty common dream. He is, I should tell you, he has really crippling anxiety. That's why I did it. He's the perfect target. It was awesome. He's like trying to figure out any kind of solution to why this is happening. He's like, okay, maybe Meryl Streep died last night, and this is a collective conscious kind of thing. He Googles it. She is not dead. He goes back to freaking out. He starts to cry. He's just like, I don't understand how this is happening. And I should tell him it's a joke. I don't. I'm just like, hey, man, I'm really tired. I got to go to bed. And I get off the phone. The next morning, I should call him, and I don't. I should have let him off the hook. I keep this going for 3 more months and 7 more dreams. 7 dreams later, I call him, and I'm like, hey, man, I was like, I had this really crazy dream last night. And he was like, hey, man, I got to talk to you before you get into that. I had to up my anxiety meds. My blood pressure's through the roof. And finally, I was just like, gotcha, bitch! You know? do one more joke and get out of here. One more time, give it up for the Cap City staff. They're amazing. Come back and watch a show here soon. It's my home club. I love this place. Give it up for Joey and Brett. Thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciate it. Let's pray. Oh, man. I mean, look at it. Look at it. I'll end on this. I've mentioned I like to screw with people. This is a fun hobby. You guys should do this. It's so fun. Anytime I'm at a restaurant where they have a QR code where you can scan it for the menu or whatever, I like to fake scan it, call the waiter over, and then I'm like, hey, I just scanned your QR code for the menu, and hardcore porn showed up. They panic every time. The last time we did this, I was at a fancy restaurant, and I do this, they freak out, they call a manager over, the manager's sweating bullets, he's so nervous, he's so apologetic, he comes over, he's like, I'm so sorry, sir, I don't know what's happening, I'll try it out. He scans the QR code, he shows me on his phone that it is just the menu, and I was like, okay, I'll try it again. I fake scan the menu. I already have hardcore porn loaded on my phone. I turn it around to face it, and I'm like, what kind of restaurant is this where your menu is just a young lady farting on a cake? I don't want to brag, but I get free breadsticks for life, you guys, at Olive Garden. That's it for me. Have a good night. I'm Doug Miller. Thanks for coming out. Have a good night.
Let us give it up for Doug Mellard, everybody. Come on! Thank you guys so much for coming to Cap City. Please follow myself, Joey Z, Brett Vervoort, Doug Mellard on our socials. Check out our other shows we got going on around town. And come see a show at Cap City again sometime. Thank you guys. Have a safe night. I love you. Bye.